Hello and welcome to Wisdom Included. I'm Shelley Carney. This is a collaborative gathering place especially for women to share personal stories, support, and advice, wisdom included. It's Friday with Friends, and I'm happy to introduce you to my friends, mentors, and fellow entrepreneurs so they can share their stories with us. Today, I'd like to present environmental activist, founder, and president of Earth Alert, Janet Bridgers. Janet, tell us your story.
I'm the daughter of a mechanical engineer, Frank Bridgers, who designed and built the world's first commercial solar heated building. I'm always very proud of what my dad did. But the difference is my dad was an engineer, not an environmental activist. Mm-hmm. And I didn't become an environmental activist until after I heard the story of a man who went to jail in Japan for setting dolphins free. To make a long story short, I contacted him in Japan by letter, and then when he came back to the United States, he called me, and things, we became involved with each other and later married. But Patrick Wall was his name, was an amazing activist. He was a Greenpeace activist at the time, and he also went to jail for spraying seals green, and he was arrested for climbing a smokestack and putting up a big banner. But then he wanted to start his own organization, and that's what we did, Earth Alert, in 1984. It's more of a media organization than related to a specific cause, mm-hmm. so that we can be involved in any range of environmental activities.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So over the years as an environmental activist, what actions have you seen that have the most positive impact and lasting change?
Whenever a law is changed, that can change things immediately. One of the classic examples is that when they banned lead from gasoline, the levels of lead in the environment went way down. Similarly, when they make a law mandating mileage, higher mileage per gallon in cars, you start saving all sorts of fuel. So although it's important in terms of education for people to understand why you want those laws to change, mm-hmm. changing the laws has the most rapid effect.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So what's the greatest benefit that you've experienced through your environmental work?
The greatest benefit I've had from environmental work is the quality of people I've met, because I have met some awesome people. Mm-hmm. And, when I think about it, in fact, I get kind of broken up because a lot of them aren't here anymore. But they were people who single-handedly did so much that, awesome is like the only word for it. People, well, they tended to be type A personalities. They were maybe not, the people you wanted to be married to, because they were the kind of people who would wake up first thing in the morning mm-hmm. and go till midnight, and they would never lose their focus on what they were trying to do. But they would make things happen. And, well, God bless them. Mm-hmm. But also, because of the people who become involved in activism, whether it's environmental activism or another kind, social causes, that they have a sense of meaning about their life, that they want to do something positive. And therefore, they tend to be people who are less materialistic, less pretentious, social, status conscious. They are there to get something done. Mm-hmm. But they just tend to be very generous, compassionate, wonderful friends that I've had through environmental activism.
Mm-hmm. So you keep talking about getting things done and making things happen. What are some of the practical steps that have to be done that do make things happen?
Well, I think in terms of campaigns is the easiest way to think about it. So let's say we're trying to change a law. One that I know will come up soon again in New Mexico would be to increase the renewable energy portfolio, which establishes how much of the state's energy is generated from solar, wind, geothermal. The one would work with legislators before the legislative session to suggest legislation. And then during the legislative session, one would go to the Roundhouse, which is fascinating, and talk to particularly one's own legislator, but also others, and get friends, family to call them, write op-eds for the newspapers or letters to the editor, get interviews on radio. In general, try to make more people aware and get them to contact their legislator. And then if the legislators go forward, if it gets past the hearings, and that's a chance to attend, go to the Roundhouse, then, and is signed into law, then it will change things. So that's one of the shortest paths to making something happen.
Terrific. Okay. And what projects are you currently working on, and what's coming up for you?
Currently, I am working on, I continue to work. I've been working on it for many years, California coastal activism history. I lived in California for 27 years, and in the last part of that began to met so many people who were involved in protecting the coast of California, which is, if you can tell from pictures, if you've never been there, that it's one of the most incredible stretches of scenic beauty in the world, and a great playground for millions and millions of people, not just the residents of California, but people from all over the world who come to visit. But if it had not been for the work of environmental activists, coastal activists, it would look like Miami Beach instead of like the California coast, because it was laws that were passed in the 70s that have prevented unwarranted development and protected access of ordinary people to the beach, as well as protecting wildlife, coastal water quality. So I continue to work on that history project. I interviewed many of the activists and have done several documentaries on the subject in help with collaborators like Toby Eunice. And so continuing to work on that. Maybe there'll be another documentary in the future. I'd like to do one on sea level rise in the California coast. Big subject. Also, we'll be working with New Mexico Solar Energy Association we have a current project to get young people who are in charter schools, a construction industries related charter school, help them to find the pathway to professional certification so that they can get good jobs in the solar industry.
Okay. So along with the difficulties we've seen with this current administration, we have difficulties maintaining the environmental protections that we've had. But where do you see the future of the environmental movement in the United States? Where do you see that going?
I think it's a great opportunity for people to become involved. And the pendulum swings. We've seen that, we're old enough to see that political mood swings back and forth in terms of who's in the White House and, who's in the Congress. But the need and the interest in the environment isn't going to go away. And so there will be more and more opportunity for people to become involved. And believe me, it's like the people who think their vote doesn't matter. Well, that's ridiculous. It does, Also, that whatever you can do with and for an organization matters, even if you're, folding flyers and putting them in envelopes, or doing something that you might consider personally, not glamorous or even menial, but every little thing that the group of people do to move the organization forward. And of course, they can't pay for a lot of staff time. There are a few staffers in organizations. Some are almost entirely volunteer. And so anything you can do really is valuable.
Okay. So speaking to that, if people watching are interested in getting involved and would like to learn more, where should they go?
I think they should go into their own heart. And what is the issue that they feel is really, really important? A lot of people gravitate to animal issues, and that's, very important because there's not a lot of government funding to protect animals. So both domestic animals and wildlife, have to have a lot of input from these organizations to protect them. But I would not. I think first you just have to what resonates is a good word with the individual in terms of what they want to do, because the path can be very long and discouraging, and so you have to have a sense of passion in order to get through the rough stuff. And there are disappointments too, and well, but then you get over them. I mean, you don't get over them, but you keep going.
So if they would like to learn more about Earth Alert and you in particular, where can they do that?
Our website is www.earthalert.org.
Okay, earthalert.org. And we'll have that down in the description box as well. And I know you're doing a GoFundMe campaign to raise funds for, tell me about that.
This is just a little piece of California coastal history. We want to get a page up on Wikipedia about the Proposition 20 campaign in 1972, an amazing initiative that established the California Coastal Commission and helped protect the coast for all Californians.
Okay, so that would be at GoFundMe?
We'll have a link from the Earth Alert site.
Okay, and I'll also put that in the description as well. So, Janet, thank you so much for speaking with us today. I appreciate your time.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Leave a comment below if you have participated in an activist movement and tell me your story. If this is your first time here, please take a moment to subscribe. I'll continue to post new videos several times each week featuring personal stories, support, and advice, wisdom included.